actually going to start talking about Trump approval. I know it's like my favorite topic. Is this the most important topic in the world? No. But the trend that's happening right now is super important. That's why I'm talking about it. So here's the daily snapshot today, Friday, June 13th. And we had another really phenomenal day for Trump approval polling. 53% approve, 45% disapprove, net +8. As you're going to see, I feel kind of exposed being one of the rightmost people in the aggregate right now, just the way the numbers are falling. Right track is again on top, 48%, wrong direction, 47%. Some of the highest readings that we've seen in 20 years. We looked at the chart, I think it was Wednesday. We had a really great stream Wednesday. It got demonetized because I talked about Globo Homo, and there were, maybe there was a risque picture or two that I shouldn't have let it get on the screen. But if you missed that, you should go check it out because we went deep into a lot of charts. We had a really great talk about Globo Homo. And yeah, look at this. The numbers are still shooting up. So this is 2 days in a row of Trump net +8. Democrat approval of Trump is rising. It's almost 30% now. It was down to the low 20s just a week or two ago. So this is sort of not what you would expect if everybody was appreciating what Gavin Newsom was doing for the Democrats right now. And so here's my clue that Democrats don't like their own cities being burned down by insane Marxist activists. Probably a fair thing. But look at Trump Republican approval, 85%. I think that's one of his highest numbers. I think I remember seeing an 86 maybe between now and inauguration day. So he's lost no Republicans. He's basically lost no Republicans. 63% strong GOP approval. That's really high for most of 21 through 24. He was hitting numbers in the high 40s to high 50s. So Republicans love him now more than they basically ever have. Independents, he's only underwater 3 points. I still think there's like a sort of super cycle of independent response bias, or maybe I had one in the fall, but my independents were very, very, very Trump supporting for all of 22, 23, and 24, and they're not as much now. And part of that might just be because when people get into office that are very different, opinions just change. Some of it is the way people respond to polls. Maybe some people are just like, oh, my guy's in, I'm not going to take polls anymore. That does happen. But some of it really is their opinions because we have this immigration index that we track on a monthly basis. And the numbers do change drastically. What changes them? New presidents getting elected. So that index was super, super hardline, anti-immigration, get all the legals out during Biden. Second Trump got inaugurated, the index rapidly changed. And so all of a sudden, questions like, is the federal government doing too much or not enough to reduce illegal immigration? That question changes a lot. Under Biden, it was like 60% not enough, 15% too little, and then the numbers completely switch. So elections have consequences and it changes people's opinions. And I guess all of a sudden, a lot of independents really hoping to get Trump in, they got him in, and now their opinions change. But what's crazy is that we do have an independent right track in the 40s. And Democrats are almost up to 28%. So again, this is like, okay, the Democrats are going to have organic protests everywhere in the country when 30% of them approve of Trump and 30% of them say the country's headed in the right direction. It doesn't make sense because those numbers are pretty high. They're not like 5 or 10%. They're higher than they should be. Black approval is at 54%. The Democrats want a race riot, and black approval of Trump is at 54%. This is unprecedented territory. And it literally could be. I have some crazy response bias with black voters, or their polling behavior is totally changed and I haven't figured out a way to capture it yet, or they just really like what Trump's doing. And the thing is that you could show somebody else's numbers and say, wow, CBS is right and you're wrong. And I'd say, like, I'd laugh at you. So here's where the rest of the industry's at right now. They have Trump underwater 3, but it would be a 2.5 if Quinnipiac isn't here. You know how people use words like Google? When something becomes so ubiquitous, they say, oh, we're going to Google it. We're going to use it as a verb. Well, in my opinion, in the industry, Quinnipiacking a poll is a verb. They are a laughing stock, and what's crazy is they were actually cited by serious journalists this week to try to show that Trump had a plunging approval rating, and they're literally a laughing stock. There's no way Trump is underwater 16 points. Now, again, I have him at 8 today. There's obviously like noise that goes into statistics, but Trafalgar had Trump at 8 just a week and a half ago. Insider Advantage had Trump up 11. RMG's got him up 6. Trump's up. Trump is up. Is he up 8? I don't know. Maybe the numbers will start going back down and it'll smooth out in an average. But without that negative 16 in here, Trump would be underwater 2.5 points, which is where the aggregates had him this entire time because this was all fake here. Completely fake. So if the industry has him underwater 2.5 points, I think they're like trying extra hard to lie right now. You know, Yahoo negative 13, Reuters Ipsos negative 10. These pollsters have been 6, 7, 8, 9 points to the left of me, especially in the fall. And so I think they're doing it again. I think Trump is he's going to be sticky at about +2 or +3 now, and that's higher than I thought. I thought he was going to be at about parity. So these numbers are looking good. And I also could be seeing a new trend because I'm the only one that pulls this stuff daily. And the latest numbers here are as of June 11th. Nobody else has numbers sooner than that. These two polls. I mean, we got The Economist is basically pulling from the numbers last week, Morning Consult. And then you go back to Trafalgar, and then everything else is May. So I think it's possible that there's a burgeoning uptrend in Trump approval that we haven't picked up yet, and Rasmussen has. But, you know, here's our historical trend, and it's like just back a week ago, Trump was up 1, and now we have 2 days in a row of Trump +8. Pretty crazy. Here's how it looks on a chart. Let me try and make this bigger. Not that big. Now, this is a new chart, but I think it shows what we're looking at better. This is the same approval chart that I've had, but it's net approval instead of total approval. And that's important because total approval's a pretty interesting number. You know how many people the supporters are, but it's also, this incorporates how few disapprovers there are because some people are just not going to approve of Trump. So that's what happened is his numbers have been going up, but he hit ceiling at 52 or 53. I'm sorry. He hit a ceiling at 53, but his disapproval numbers are dropping, and that's what's driving this uptrend. And so it's kind of dark. I don't know if you can see these, but this one here is light purple is Obama's first term. This dark purple here is Obama's second term. The blue is Biden, and the red is Trump's first term. And this is 1 year of data, which we're almost halfway through. And you can see that this uptrend Trump has is real. This looks like a financial, again, the moving average has been stripped out. These are noisier results. But this looks like an up channel. Trump's numbers are going up. This was Liberation Day right here, and his numbers were very volatile then, but the trend has been inexorably up since the end of April. Now, also look at where it lies in comparison to the other presidencies at this point in history, June 13th, in any one of these presidential terms. Trump's numbers are better than everybody's except Obama, politics Jesus. And Trump's about to beat him. Trump will literally cross this purple line because I don't think anything's going to happen over the summer. Listen, the reason that Obama came in so strong and then his numbers completely faded is all of the stuff, the hope, the lies that he sold on the campaign trail. People thought he was going to be able to fix things. And obviously it was too much for him, or he was rearranging the government the way he wanted it. I don't know. But, you know, Biden never should have been this high. And then it collapsed. And then Trump won was full force media hoax campaign against him, tanking his numbers. So what I'm trying to show you here in this chart, though, is that Trump is, I think, on the cusp of having very unprecedented approval rating numbers. And so they can put all the headlines out there that they want about how horrible his numbers were compared to previous presidents at the 100-day mark. Now, they were lying about his polls on the 100-day mark, but his polls still weren't that great. Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why. He barely got a honeymoon at all because it was his second term, third term, whatever. He barely got a honeymoon at all because people knew who he was. He did not make a whole lot of ridiculous claims on the campaign trail. And now people like what they're seeing. So the numbers are starting to go up. This is actually surprising me. I'm actually really surprised. Now, I also did another analysis I thought was worth sharing. We've been talking a lot about gender and age. And so I did a quick chart. This is with today's net approval numbers. And this is a real problem. We talked about the mental health condition of our country on Wednesday. You should check that out if you haven't seen it either. It's a publicly sponsored poll sponsored by John Fawcett at the Great America Show. So people can go get the crosstabs at rasmussenreports.com for free if you want to. And it's troubling. It's really troubling. I think the number was 43% of 18 to 39-year-old liberals in this country say they've been diagnosed with a mental health condition. And roughly 20% of the entire country is either getting therapy for a mental health condition or is taking some kind of pharmaceutical drug for mental health. For 18 to 39-year-olds, I think the number was north of 30. So 1 in 3 18 to 39-year-olds, people who are supposed to be forming families, they're actually going to therapy and they're on drugs. That's not a good thing. People talk about demographic collapse, the death of the American dream, the way that we have health as a service now, and that's what's crowding out our gross domestic product and strangling us, all these healthcare costs. Well, it's because everybody's being convinced that they have some kind of mental retardation or something, and we're throwing pills at the problem. Mama's little helper or whatever. And look at this. This is a similar and related problem. The political gulf is most, and my numbers are a little different than other people's here. Other people show a higher conservative response in 18 to 29-year-olds. That could just be a difference in our data sources, but I don't think it is. I think I like my numbers better. The 30 to 39-year-olds, people who should be raising kids and forming families and making hay, they are 33 points apart on Trump approval. 33 points. Pretty wild. 30 to 39-year-old women have a very different worldview than 30 to 39-year-old men. Now, what I will say, because again, 18 to 29-year-olds are coming off of college campuses, you expect them to be liberal. And this is still a pretty big gulf here. I think this is 15 or 20 points. But this, the other weird thing though, 18 to 30 or 30 to 39-year-old women are net Trump positive. But look at this ridiculous signal. 30 to 39-year-old men. I think this is kind of like fourth turning stuff here. This data point right here. Is this a subsample? Does it have a larger margin of error? Will it move around? Yes. Did I just snapshot a 2,000 person sample size? Yes. But look at that number. Trump is up like 38 points among 30 to 39-year-old men. It's not the turning point thing. That's not what it is. It's not the kids are okay and college campuses are being reclaimed. It's literally men are rebelling against what society has done to them, the situation that they've been forced into, in my opinion. And one other quick hit before we talk about the Middle East, which I really do not like. I'm not a Middle East scholar. I really would prefer not to be talking about it. But we had this Insider Advantage poll that showed that 59% approve of Trump's deployment of National Guard and troops in LA, including 37% of Democrats and 56% of independents. This is Matt Towery at Insider Advantage. So it's net plus 20 points, 59 to 39. And good job. He beat us to the punch, but we ran those numbers as well. Now, I'll start with this last one. And the question's different. I think we set it up a little different than him, so it's not apples to apples. But I want to show that good pollsters can replicate others' results. After federal immigration agents were attacked in Los Angeles recently, President Trump mobilized National Guard troops to prevent further attacks. Do you approve or disapprove of Trump's decision to mobilize the National Guard? 57% approve, 41 strongly, and 40% disapprove. So we have it at a plus 17 instead of a plus 20. That's close. That's within the margin of error. So we have confirmed Matt Towery Insider Advantage's finding that people love the idea of the National Guard storming LA. And our Democrat numbers are 35%. His were 37. Very, very close. 84% of Republicans. I think he had, what was it? He had like 89 or something like that. And are my independents more than him? This is 54 to 44. He has independents at 56. Boom. Same numbers. Now, we also have some other questions that he didn't. And this is one of those things, maybe you're not going to like it, but I'm still going to report it to you. We're about independent analysis of public opinion realities. We're not about cheerleading for the right. How do you rate the way President Trump is handling issues related to immigration? 37% excellent, 49% excellent or good. That's awesome, but it's down 5 points. He was actually at 54, but this is still, 6 points better than Biden scored ever on any issue ever. And what you're going to see over time as Trump deports a lot of people is the massive need to deport folks is probably going to abate. I think it's going to take months to years. But what's going to happen is people are going to be less stressed out about the border invasion. It's not going to be in the news. Their economic situation is going to be better. They're going to see a lot less workers hanging around outside Home Depot. And it's just going to be out of sight, out of mind. And then when they get asked these questions, they're going to be a little bit less hardcore about it. And then finally, you're going to get your Elian Gonzalez or something. And then the pendulum's going to swing back. Probably will take a long time, but the numbers are going to move between now and then. And they're already starting to move. So now Trump is technically here, only up +1 on the issue of immigration. Again, some of it's probably noise. And this is Republicans were up 11 points like 2 months ago. So we'll probably pull this again in 2 or 3 months and see what happens. But some of it could be because I didn't do the exercise. We should look at party. See, I think what we're finding is that independent numbers are collapsing. And part of that could just be my independent makeup in this one sample. And so we have to run a couple more. But the Republican number looks pretty high, 79%. It's probably not going to get much higher than that. And I think the Democrat number is probably going down some because of the gaslighting. So there's reasons these trends happen. But again, I have Trump +8 today. And Trump was, I think, probably +2 or 3 when this poll was taken. Yeah, most of those days. If given a choice between two candidates, would you vote for the one who favored granting amnesty to all illegal immigrants? Or would you favor the candidate who voted for deporting all illegal immigrants? And now amnesty actually wins 44 to 42. Now, I don't think we have this question nationally, but we did have it in 10 battleground states, and deportation was winning 55 to 35. And so we're going to have to follow this one. I don't know what the situation is. Could be an outlier. 64% of Republicans favor the 100% deportation candidate. 28% favor the 100% amnesty. So that is definitely less severe of a signal. So anyways, going to be watching that. Who knows? I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before with the amount of, again, think about 10, 20 years ago, we're talking about very nebulous policy positions about things like health insurance. And now it's like, no, we're going to storm the border with the military. We're going to buy $100 billion wall. We're going to put the National Guard in blue cities and extricate criminals who have been embedded for years. It's pretty unprecedented. And I have no idea what public opinion is going to do. If you've learned something, please follow us at rasmussenreports.com, Rasmussen_poll at Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Mark_R_Mitchell at Twitter. And thanks for watching.